Here we go. Okay, we're live on Facebook. Welcome, Michelle. I'm so excited. Wait, before we dive in, tell everyone where you just flew home from.
I just came home from Jenna's favorite state of Hawaii, literally 45 minutes ago. I walked in my door and I was like, well, my hair's in the braid. We're just going to put it down. Hot Mess Mom Express. That's just how I roll.
Jet lag has never looked better. You look amazing. So I am so excited to get to chat with you today. You and I have had a very special bond from day one when you slid into my DMs a year ago. So walk me through the beginning and then we can just kind of talk about like your experience inside of KBB. And I just think when I think of you, Michelle, I think of how much you've overcome, but also there's so much we share in common. We're both moms. We both just started with this desire to help people and it's kind of evolved. So where were you a year ago?
So a year ago when Dean and Tony went live, I literally watched the webinar in my car. I told my kids, Mommy's gonna leave. And I opened the garage door, got in the car, closed the garage door and sat with my computer. And I remember after watching it, I was like, oh, they're gonna teach like all this great stuff. And then I was like, oh, it was a pitch. And I don't really know if that's for me, but what I was doing, I was looking for something more.
Yeah.
I had this calling on my heart. I had been home for 2 years with Thatcher. And I was like, it's time to go. Like God had just kind of talked and, I'd been praying about it and I was looking for like, what's next. But I knew that like, I had been searching all the free stuff on the internet and Jake was like, well, can't you just learn all of this for free? And I was like, well, yes, but do you understand my time frame of like then searching? I need someone to like give me the blueprint or kind of hold my hand. And so when we found out the price of KBB, he was like, no way. Like, no way, like, because we're on a one income, no, like, it's just not going to happen. And then you started backing it. And I had told him, if Jenna's backing it, this thing has to be legit because I have followed you for years and years, like when you were just, a wedding photographer. And I said, she has said before that she never backs anything that she hasn't tried and that she doesn't truly believe in. So I knew that like any product that you endorse, it wasn't just because they asked you to do it. It's because you believed in it. And then you saying like, I will hold your hand. And so I remember sending you a message saying like, is this really worth it? I don't have the money for this. Maybe should I just take one of your courses instead? And we just kind of went back and forth about it. And then when you went live with Dean again, I went back into the car, I think, and watched it again. And I came back in crying. And I said, I have to do this. Like, I don't know how else to do it, but I know that Jenna can do it. And it was literally, I think, like the last night that you could buy it. Or
yes, you logical night. Girl, you.
And I tell you what, just like how I know Stephanie had said on your podcast the other day, I was Googling, trying to find people that had results. Like, how can I measure this? Can I find people who are saying that it's bad? And there was nothing because it was brand new. But I knew that like I could trust you and that if you were saying that what they were offering was good, then it had to be. So I can remember I sent my dad a text because I knew that I had like life insurance policies and some funds and stuff that from when I was little. And I said, how do I cash them out? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I need the money. So then he said, how about we Shark Tank a deal? I'll loan you the money. And then I own 1% of your company. So the other day.
So cool.
So like, that's what it is. So he owns 1%. I mean, I have to pay him back, but I can remember when I first got paid, I was like, Dad, here's your $10.
Yes.
Of your 1%. But so that's kind of how, and then, I mean, your leadership in this community that you have built, and I know people are hearing probably the same thing over and over, but it has just been so invaluable. And it's amazing. And I have people from the group who I talk to literally every day.
Isn't that wild to think of? I think about it because even seeing you guys on comments or things, it's like, I know you. Like, it's not just like, oh, that one student is like, no, like I know where you were in Hawaii. I've been like, I have watched, we've done a lot of life together. And I just feel like that's rare these days, where it's like babies have been born and people have passed away. And, you know, there's been tornadoes and life. And like, there's just so much life has happened inside of our group where it's not just all business talk. I've watched this community just rally and rally and rally and rally. And it's so hard to like even describe it. It's crazy.
Totally. And I mean, and I even remember when I got to be on the top 10 call with you.
Yeah.
The one way that I had told people after that, I was like, I know that she's legit. Not that you're not legit, but
When
that,
your
like,
hair was colored differently.
right, see? Yes, because I told people, I was like, she knew that my hair was a different color and I had never highlighted in my life, you know, that you're like, oh, your hair. And I was like, so she's really paying attention to her, you know, like, it's not like you just hop in there and hop out. But
oh yeah,
like,
I was like, Michelle, did you color your hair? It looks different. It looks beautiful.
yeah, just like a normal friend would.
Oh, I love that. Okay, tell me, here's one thing that I think a lot of people struggle with is a lot of people have never taken an online course, so they don't even know what to expect. And it almost feels like this weird, like, okay, so how is it delivered and what does it look like? What was it like for you? Because you had never taken an online course before. So when you logged into the program the first time, like, what did you think?
You know, like when I logged in, it's almost like, oh, it's just 100% laid out. And especially the way that you laid out the calendar, I knew exactly what I had to do every day. You can see exactly how much time each video is. So I knew like, okay, I have 15 minutes. We finish breakfast because I'm mainly a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
I have a part-time insurance stuff that I still do that I've done for 10 years. But so it'd be like, okay, we'd eat lunch. And I can remember sending you a picture once and the boys were outside playing Play-Doh. And I was like, see, look, I'm doing it. We're fitting it in. And like at Turner at that point, I think when you were taking it, he was like 4. And he like started to know Dean's voice and your voice and Tony's voice. He's like, oh, that Jenna. And I was like, it is, you know? But so it's like, it's just fitting it in between your life. And the thing that I really like about it is that it's not these long drawn out modules. They're short things that like you could do, like driving to school and back, doing the dishes. And I mean, I did a lot of it during the day and then I did a lot at night and it is one of those courses where like, once you get into it, like it's almost like addictive.
It's consuming in a good way.
It's like, I have to keep doing this. Yes. And then like, I know for me, like I would listen to the course and then I would listen again. Yep. And to figure out like, okay, what is the story because the thing is they give you the tools, but Dean also tells stories and Tony, they tell stories around it. So then I would go in and be like, okay, what story do I have that is similar or is the same framework that they're telling that I can apply it to my life? So the way that they explain everything is so easy to then just implement into your life and what you're doing. And I mean, I had nothing when we started this. It was literally like I had been watching people for 2 years as a stay-at-home mom being like, oh, that launch wasn't that great. This is how I would change it. And that's how I figured out then going through this, that's my superpower is I totally can look at someone's business and be like, oh, hey, this is where your hole is of your sales. Hey, you think that you launched this and you were real big about it, but you weren't, you know? Mm-hmm. So
it's been so cool to watch you go through this process because I even think like a year ago, you coming on live like this would have been terrifying, right? And you're so excited, like where it's just, and it's like you would have done it, but the way that we come alive with confidence, like when I've talked to you and Erica and Crystal, and I see this like just layer, it's like a veil of confidence of like, no, I am smart and I do have power. And even to just say, this is my superpower for so many women, that feels either too boastful or you're not being humble. And it's like, no, this is my gift. What was it like to even just kind of discover and acknowledge that like, I'm not just a mom, or I don't just sell insurance, or I'm not just a wife? What did that feel like?
You know, it's kind of one of those things, because like you said, I feel like when you become a mom, like everything else goes, you know, like your kids are first, identity. That's first 100%. Like, I mean, as moms, we talk about, you got to have self-care and all that stuff. But it's one of those things to realize that just because what my corporate job was before I had kids doesn't necessarily have to define me. You know, like I don't have to go back to that, but it's also realizing that like I still am more than a mom. You know, I love being a mom and it's my number one thing, but it's okay to like still want more outside of being a mom. And the one thing was like at KBB, I was coming out of like the postpartum depression fog bad. And KBB was the thing that like helped me realize like, okay, there is more for me and like I could discover it and find it when I was just searching and felt real lost before.
I feel like one of the reasons I just shared on Instagram, I've been losing sleep this week, and it's not out of stress. It's out of like, how can we communicate this in a way that the right people hear the message? Like it keeps me up at night because I think one, as women, we're sold to constantly. So we become doubters, which I think is beautiful. Skepticism is not a bad thing. Like I am a forever skeptic. But two, a lot of times we feel like we're just targets and we're not like actually seen and understood, and like no one can really wholly know us. And I think we almost put up boundaries to protect ourselves from feeling that way. I know I felt that way where I'm like, this was a scam and I fell for it and I'm a loser. And like we do that to ourselves. But I think one of my biggest conviction points, and I know you probably feel this way too, is lately I've been having so many conversations with women and they say, I'm just a mom, or I'm just a wife, or I've taken all of my dreams to take in a back seat so that I can serve other people and put other people first. And we almost become a martyr to those decisions, not by choice, but by necessity. And all I want in this life, and I won't cry, but like all I want is for women to come alive and to step into their power. And it's like, if we don't even trust ourselves to make a decision of power, how can we like do that? And I know you feel the same way. So help me out before I get all sappy.
Yeah. And I think it's like one of those things that I have totally lived in if you wake up every day and see, look, now we're going to both cry.
I
If
know.
you wake every day and when your feet hit the floor, if you don't love your life, then you need to find whatever lights your fire and whatever you love, because life is just too short. And like and if you are a mom who's in like these little years, because I know so many people who are moms are following you and you are like in the deep of it and you feel like you can't come up for air, like it's okay to like be in that area, and that like you are going to come up for air, and that maybe by doing this course it's your breath of air. Because like for me it was the thing that like I could breathe in something that was just for me and that I wasn't giving out, it was pouring into me.
Yeah. And I think too, it's so hard. You and I were literally just talking about this, but I'm like, sometimes now I see people without kids and I'm like, oh my gosh, if they only knew like how the juggle is real, like the actual juggle is so incredibly real, but it also gives us such a crazy purpose, like this level of purpose. And I was thinking about it yesterday. So Conley's starting to walk, and you know, when a baby falls and they look at you to like, should I freak out right now? Should I be terrified? Should I like giggle? And we're always like, that was so awesome. And I was like thinking like, she's watching me for everything, how to react when she falls, but also how to show up in life and how to serve the world. And like, she is a sponge to everything I'm doing. And there's so many new moms. I mean, Angel gave birth to her child and was like in the group, like invested in the program. There's so many moms in our group. And you don't have to be a mom. There's so many non-moms in our group too. But what I'm trying to say is that when you are just surrounded by a group of people who want something more, it's contagious. Like it's impossible to be complacent in your life anymore. And it's also one of those things, and I kind of want to talk about this with you specifically, and we're talking about this offline, is that you are forced to continually define what success looks like in your own life. And I know Dean has that tool. I know I'm being successful when it's a tool I've made every person that I love in my life take. But walk me through what success looks like for you, because this isn't just about saying, I made 40 grand last month. That's awesome. Great for them. But what does success look like for you in this season of life that you're in?
Yeah, success is totally being able to say like, oh, my kids, I have a school event, I can go. Like we wake up in the summer and it's like, oh, mommy, can we go to the zoo? Yes.
Great.
You know, sure, let me finish this. Or like, I'm totally that mom who's like in 15 minutes later, we're out the door. We're like, whatever, we got a few diapers, we're good to go. But like sometimes like maybe someday success might look like making a dollar amount, but I honestly don't ever think for me personally that will be, because like you have said and have taught us that you can make more money and that's not what's going to make you happy. You have to decide like at the end of the day, when you stand at the end of your life, and I know you say, to say like, I've given everything I've got, like, what does that look like to you so that you can stand before God or, and say, I did it all and I used every gift that you gave me. And that to me is success, that I can say I was the best mom that I could be. I was the best wife. I showed up for my friends,
Yes. Well, and you've done a really good job, really like continually going back to your why. And I feel like for a long time, so many of us didn't even know what our why was. Like, who even has time to think about a why when you're bathing kids and doing dinner? And, it's like, I think one of the most beautiful pieces of this whole transformation, and I was literally voice DMing someone on Instagram about this, is I'm like, you might not think you need the mindset work, but once you start doing that work, it becomes the deepest work you have ever done. And it's questions that we as adults never converse about. We never talk. Like, when is the last time you sat down with your best friend and you're like, what is your why? And are you anchored in that? Do you really, And so it's like, yes, you get the strategy and the blueprint and all of that goodness. But beyond that, I think for me personally, the mindset and those tools transformed me way more than any Facebook blueprint could ever do that.
100%. And especially because like when I was taking this the first time, I had nothing.
Yeah.
So it's not like I was taking this as a business owner, knowing exactly what, my blocks were. It was just like, I don't know, what's my block in life right now? And it's so crazy because I've kept a notebook and I kept the back pages blank of the first time I did it. And then I went through and did it all. And it's amazing to see like the transformation of like what I was like thinking of the first time I did it. And then I did the tools the second and third time and how much they change. And I'm already working through this 2.0 and holy cow.
It's next level.
It's so good. Like, I mean, even if you just did the first module, I think it'd be like, you're good.
This is worth every penny.
And so that's where it is. Like, if it's totally, you don't have a business and you're like, I just know I want to do something and own my time. You are going to be able to figure it out through doing it.
Well, and I think too, what's so amazing, and even if I just look from I was just coming out of maternity leave last year when we did it the first round, and I genuinely didn't know what the year was going to hold, what I would say yes to, what I would say no to. And having somebody tell me it's okay to make a not to-do list. And when you know your why, your not to-do list is actually going to be really easy to execute because you're going to be so clear, where I feel like I can be very wishy-washy and I can be a people pleaser and I can be prone to like make decisions that aren't in alignment with the bigger goals. And it was like, almost like Dean was like being like, here is your permission to get very clear on what you want, and not in a selfish way, in a way that helps you serve people better. And so I'm like, those tools alone, I have gone through them, I think 3 or 4 times. And just like you, every single time I do them, I'm reminded that growth has happened. And I think for a lot of us, we forget we blink and a year happens. So tell me just some of the differences between Michelle a year ago, 1.0, and Michelle 2.0, because I've personally watched it, but I want to hear what you feel different about in your own life.
And it's one of those things that I have people like when I was starting to evolve this, and I think it was your latest podcast that you just did and was talking about social media and how you like evolve it and stuff like that. And I went through and scrolled back and like, I was trying to like create something before KBB. Like you could kind of see some pieces in there, like, oh, and then like there was this whole shift and it was like, I felt like okay to totally share that, like, somebody needs to hear how I'm feeling in my postpartum season.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to hear that, like, my head is not above water today. And I think though, like, I've had friends be like, I mean, whatever you're sharing is really good. And it's interesting because to start with, and I'm sure like if other people are new,
Yeah.
I had friends who are like, I don't really know what you're doing, but it's good.
Yes.
Whatever you're doing, you know, like, so people start seeing the changes. And I think that I just started holding myself more accountable to things. And like, I felt worthy of stepping into what I want to do. And I don't need permission from someone, you know, like I feel like there's certain people in my life who I always like want them to say like, job well done.
Yep.
And at this point, there's people, they're like, I don't understand this. I don't get it. I don't know how anyone makes money. And I'm like, that's okay. You're not my client.
Yes. Yes.
Someone who like, and it's just how you had taught me, like, it's all about the one sometimes.
Yes.
Like, you don't necessarily have to reach the masses. And if you are small, like, don't think that this is going to make you like, in 30 days, I'm going to take this and then I'm going to be a viral sensation, because that's not how life works. It's not how business works. That like, you just have to go find the few that need what you have to offer. And like, that's one thing, Jenna, I remember one time we had the conversation, you're like, you are looking like a business. You're not a business.
Yes.
Go find the one.
Yes.
I went and found Emma from Camp Climb. And now I've created this whole relationship with her and this whole other thing that's going. And that's so exciting because I found the one that started the role.
You know what word is just like if there was a neon sign blinking right now as you're speaking, the word that I want to speak over you is conviction. You have so much conviction that you did not have a year ago. And with that conviction comes confidence and certainty. And it's like this beautiful, beautiful thing to watch because you had all of this inside of you. I'm not going to say, Michelle, a year ago, you were not this person. You had it all inside of you, but it's been pulled out over the last year with life and with community and with guidance. And I think that when you're talking, I'm like, conviction. She has conviction. You can feel it. It's like palpable. And when you work with people that have conviction, it's impossible to stand there and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me, like, it's like, no, tell people what matters, like own it. And I want to go back to your point about the one, because I literally was just speaking this over Michelle before we went live. I talk about this a lot, but I don't think people actually think that I believe it because I speak to the masses. My business is a global business. And I, with so much conviction, believe in the power of one, of changing one life, of responding to one DM, of creating one podcast episode that speaks to one person. And I anchor myself in that every single day. And that's why I keep showing up to the masses, is it's not to create for them. It's that one person hears it. And I told Michelle before we came on, I said, Michelle, I know you are so driven, you are passionate, and you have to continually ground yourself in that power of one and your definition of success, because it's so easy to see what everyone else is doing and to like get it twisted, right?
100%. And even like when you're talking about that, and I was listening to your last podcast that you did, I was thinking back about the power of one that you had told me. And even I can remember in your early photography days, you were even going after the power of one, because on your website, you used to have, you're my bride if, and there was a quiz. Yes. I was married at that point, but I can remember being like, I wonder if I'd be Jenna's bride.
Yes.
But like by taking that, you knew specifically what one type of bride you were going after.
Yeah. And I think what's so beautiful about online learning and education and just investing in general is that you have this course forever. So like you and Jake can sit down and take it together now, and you can be in a totally different season of life and marriage. And a year from now, you're going to be in another different place. And I have never had a course that I've logged into so many times in like, wait, there is a tool about negotiation and I'm about to negotiate this deal. Let me watch this real quick. And I think people forget that because a lot of times, like, I love conferences and I love workshops and I love, being in a room with tons of people, but I often leave those things feeling inspired, but like, I don't know what to do next. And so I am a huge believer in the community that can come from in-person events, but I am also a huge believer in the ability to have education in your back pocket for a day from now, a year from now, like whatever that looks like. And so it's been so cool to be able to see that growth and to like have those tools accessible all the time.
Oh, totally. And it's funny. I'm like, I wonder what it looks like from Dean and Tony's side of how many times I've logged in, because
We should get our login counts. That would be hilarious.
Because it is like, it's not like I just took the course in the month that you taught and then I let it go. I took it and then I just kept retaking pieces of it, or like, especially as I've been going through now, of like, okay, I'm in this part of my business. What did they say again? Yes. I mean, here's the superpower thing. And Jenna's thinking, like, they all stay up on my wall, so you just keep doing it. And then you realize you're ready to take a pivot or go to the next level. Yeah. So you log back in and you kind of relook at this stuff. Now, this sticky note thing is not in. It's my mental formation of how I have to put it on the wall.
Yes. No, we talked about that when we're like, if you have something, just start writing down all the pieces and then we'll start to put them together. So amazing. So Michelle, how are you serving the world? Tell me your superpower so that everyone that's watching can understand.
So I'm doing sales and profitability coaching, where I go into your business, take a high level overview, and then say, okay, this piece of maybe your systems and processes is not in line. It's not tightened up. So let's button that up. Or maybe you're not speaking to, who your ideal client is, but the thing is when you sell to them is where I see that people are missing it and they forget about the types of buyers. So we work on that, and then expanding your business. But on top of the sales coaching, I'm also going to start doing mentoring, because I just have this huge passion for like women knowing that you are worth more and that you can be whatever you want to be, or your dreams. And so I've started doing that too, because it's such a passion to me that it's even like a discounted service, because I just want other women, because so often I talk to moms and they're like, I just feel so lost. Like I've lost myself, but I knew who I was. Like this person I am now was Michelle, like pre-mom, but I'm a better version. But it's like, I just remembered who I was. Yes. And so I just want to help moms remember like who you were before all the babies.
It's so beautiful. I know it is such a crazy season. And I think for so many people, it almost feels selfish, which is so crazy to me. But I get it. I feel that way all the time. Like I'm supposed to travel this weekend and I'm like, I just want to stay home. Like I'm excited to do these things, but I also just want to be home with my baby. And like, we're always going to be juggling all of these things. And so I am just so passionate about the work that you're doing. Where can everybody find you and connect with you?
So I'm mostly on Instagram, and it's Michelle Ann, and it's ANN Hagen, Hagen. And the same thing on Facebook. So either or of those. And
I'm just smiling because I remember when you slid into my DMs just a year ago and we're voice texting back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Yeah. And then if women are in Omaha or in the Nebraska area, I am holding a free event tomorrow where I'm going to go through. I just was like, why not? Let's just do it. Because, I just love to jump. So we're just going to be talking about like, what is your thing that like could be a business, or to find your passion, just to find like just like I was talking about with moms, just to find whatever you want to do in life again. So
I love you for that. That's so amazing. If somebody is watching this and they're on the fence, what would you say to them?
That you are worthy of taking this, that it is 100% worth the investment, that you have to remember that sometimes like we have to invest in ourselves, that so often we invest in things that are not education, or just like think to yourself, other things that you spend that you could cut down on. If it's the money piece, you can always find the money, or if you are a business owner, take the course and take it. I mean, just like how Stephanie's did it, she took it fast and then earn your money. I mean, you are going to earn your money back. And if you are someone who's starting it, it might take you a little while to earn the money back, but what you are going to get out of it is so valuable. And I was telling my cousin when we were in Hawaii, I was like, I mean, I paid what I would pay to take a college course, but I got so much more out of it by having 3 experts and you, plus all of the women and men in the community that, I mean, I got, it's so much more valuable than what you're going to pay. Like and it's so hard to convey until you're in it.
I know. That's the worst. It's like birth. Like you can't explain childbirth and you're like, when you hit transition, you'll know. And then you're like, oh shoot, I wish we could like communicate this in a way where it's so obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, Michelle, thank you so much, my jet-lagged girl. I hope Hawaii looked so good on you. So thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing your story. And I know that the power of one is so evident in you and it's going to turn into the power of hundreds and thousands as you continue on. So thank you.
Thank you.